Good morning, good morning. Yes, Astor, I'm going live. She's like, Merp, you're talking? Merp. Good morning, everybody. How is everybody today? It is Tuesday, March 5th, and we are in the tide of destruction, the winter solstice to the spring equinox. I'd love it if you hit subscribe and the like button, and you can get little notifications if you do the drop down both on your app and your computer. There's a way to get notifications so that when I post my, hey, I'm gonna go live, it'll notify you. Some people don't like notifications, and that's fine. I do go live most days, Monday through Friday, if you're new here. And my name is Red, and you are watching Daily Devotions with Red Moon Eagle. So we're just gonna dive right in this morning. We're gonna start with the self-care. 46, soak in a bath. Mantra, I let the healing waters restore me. Baths are an ancient ritual for energetic and bodily cleansing. Connect with the beauty of the water. Give yourself a fully relaxed water immersion. Journal prompt, how can you make a bath feel more like a sacred self-care ritual? One of the things that I love to do with baths is Epsom salt, and I'll put like 3 cups of Epsom salt in, and I will take a little cloth bag and I will put basil leaf in it, and I genuinely buy a huge bag of basil leaf online. The little things from the store are just not enough for me. And I'll put 2 to 3 teaspoons in my little bag, and I will just throw that in the bag as it's filling up. And basil is an energy neutralizer. It can pretty much neutralize any kind of negative toxic energy. And we'll come back to that here in a minute. Okay, Spirit Animal Guidebook. Today's animal is the owl. Owl energy. Abundance, clairvoyant, and treasures. The owl is a mysterious and otherworldly creature found in folklore from east to west. The white owl, is a particular in this deck, is the companion of the goddess Lakshmi and represents wealth, beauty, and good fortune. When the owl card appears, it's an omen that a boon or treasure is on the way, either a spiritual or material form. With owl wisdom on your side, you will see and know exactly what you need to do with this boon, how it can further serve your dharma and bring abundance to the world. Trust that the wellspring of treasures is infinite. When in balance, generous, trusting, and secure. When out of balance, money, quarrels, and scarcity. To bring into balance, an offering. We're going to come back to this one because this one's important. Okay, and then we have number 20, flow. The essence of flow. There is a natural movement of events in the world. You can see it in phenomena such as tides, the ebb and flow of oceans and rivers that rise up from the earth and flow to the sea. The symbol of flow represents the effortless and natural movement toward a certain destination. It signifies an ability to gracefully move through obstacles and reminds you of the sense of allowing. The invitation of flow. When flow comes to visit, it's a sign that your intentions have been in motion. Now it is time to allow nature to run its course. You are being called to effortless movement and the path of least resistance. It's like being within music, flowing within partnership. Think of the artist who creates without guile or craft, calling creativity from the soul and bringing it to life. You are called to be like a river, knowing the fulfillment of destiny is assured, and enjoy the ride. The medicine of this card, flow. Don't try to push against the river or swim upstream. You can trust that this time is right. Your dreams will begin to take shape, and you will be invited to dance with destiny. Right now, however, you must relax. This is not the time to bang on doors that refuse to open. Whatever obstacle is in front of you now, trust this for the highest good. It is an opportunity to regroup and consider your choices, and you must trust your intentions will take form in good time. Consider this time a gift. Okay, So flow has come up a lot. Oh my goodness, a lot. So I want to go back to our self-care first. One of the things that I talk about all the time with every client, I talk about Epsom salt baths to cleanse, to relax. You can put magnesium powder in them to help you with stiffness and inflammation. The warm bath is really good in the evenings when you're trying to come down off of the day, if you've had a really stressful or anxiety-filled day. There was a time a couple years ago when I was in a place where I had to make a very big decision about a work position. And at that time, I am very eternally grateful we don't pay for water in our rental, because our water bill would have been ridiculous. I took an Epsom salt bath sometimes twice in a day, depending on what day it was. And during the work week, I was for sure taking a nice, warm, long, stretched out Epsom salt bath every night after work. Are you not coming, Astra? Okay. And so one of the basics that I recommend is those little tea lights that you can get. I would light one of those, and that would be my representation of fire. And I would get my little bowl of salt, and I put my little bowl of salt next to my candle. And oftentimes I would listen to a meditation. Sometimes I would not have sound at all. And I would draw my bath. I put my Epsom salt in there, usually 2 to 3 cups. I went through a lot of Epsom salt. And then basil. And many years ago, I think in 6th or 7th grade, I learned about basil and baby's breath. And basil and baby's breath together was to help not just neutralize, but help you find your center in your energy. And so I bought a whole thing of baby's breath, and I was using baby's breath as well at that time. And I was also using magnesium twice a week. Excuse me, having all kinds of stuff come out today. And I mean, even talking about Epsom salt baths are, they loosen things up. If you've done a lot of them, you can bring that energy back. Now, some people say, well, music is very important, vibration is very important, and it very much is. One of the things that I find with my Epsom salt baths is that if I do breathing exercises when I'm doing an Epsom salt bath, I can lower myself into the bath to the point where I can put my ears underneath the water and I can hear my heartbeat, and I can hear the thrumming of the vibration of my electrical body. And it's a magnificent feeling, it's a magnificent rhythm. And if I have sat in the bath long enough to bring all of that anxiety down, I can hear the difference. I can hear the difference from the beginning of the bath to the end of the bath of my electrical system coming down and coming into this place of peace. And so ritual baths are amazing. I do often have like my stones and my crystals arranged around the bath. Kind of depends on how much effort I want to make into a bath, how much of a ritual it needs to be. And sometimes baths are just relaxing and they're great to do, nice warm bath. And then I will often do not every time, but if I am really struggling with anxiety or overwhelm, and I do a second bath, my second bath will have a good 1 minute after the bath is done, for 1 minute after the bath is done, I will run really cold water, and I will stand under the cold water stream. And that will often also bring down my anxiety level. I usually do those earlier in the day because the cold water will often shock my system into awakeness. So I don't do that in the evening before bed. I do not recommend that. But it does help if I need to do something earlier in the day where I need not only cleansing, but I also need to be awake for a while, because an Epsom salt bath for me is just so calming, and I can just go take a nap. It's amazing. Okay, so owl is, well, one of my favorites, obviously, but owl is also for air. And learning to be aware of when you're giving too much of yourself. And that's why I have pivoted a little bit, why I went into a little bit more into the ritual part, the bath part, because one of the things, no matter energy sensitive, empathic, earth sense, pick a gift, there is and there are people who really struggle with giving too much of themselves. They give all of themselves away. And when you have had a very anxious and stressful environment that you're working in or that you're dealing with in your life, it is very easy to give who you are away. And owl reminds you that to give of yourself is a valuable tool. It is. And the stressors of abundance that can come with knowledge and awareness with owl also means that you have to create good boundaries and learn to not give everything of yourself. One of the things that owl also is about the knowingness of what's out front. And when owls see in the dark, so it's being able to see the light in the darkness. And you can see the potentiality of a situation or a person that you're encountering, so you give. But if they don't see the potentiality, you may give too much of yourself. And when you give of your personal life force, I mean, you have to revitalize that. You can't just give and give and give with that. And then let's talk about flow. So I love how this particular card, she talks about the ebb and flow, the tide of the oceans and rivers, the effortless movement towards a destination. But also where if you push too hard or you bang on doors that refuse to open. I had not heard the word flow in a scientific term before about a year ago. And I did buy that book. It's on my Kindle, and you really need to read it. This guy wrote a whole book about flow. And one of the things that I've known how to do it or I figured out how to do it, I'm not really sure, but flow is one of those things that you can learn to do. I think that you can get into this place where time just kind of disappears. Your brain goes into this place where time and distance aren't in juxtaposition. And flow with looking at your life and looking at self-care, Epsom salt, animal spirits that are like, hey, don't give too much of yourself. And flow, to me, all kind of come together with the medicine of understanding the right time to do something and the following the messages, following the flow of something. I know that there have been jobs that I have had, really, really tough, very stressful jobs that have created massive burnout. And one of the things that I have learned in mental health stuff is that when you have a very severe burnout, your physiological body will be more apt to have a more severe burnout later. And it takes a lot of healing to work through the process so that you don't hold on to that with the cells in your body. And the irony is that I've had a couple really bad burnouts in my life. And I know that each one was progressively worse to the point where, wow, I really know what those triggers are now. The other side of it, though, is that I have always done basic self-care things. And I have always tried to make sure that I have some kind of creative flow or transmutation exercise because of my energy sensitivity. And I recognize within the trauma paradigms that even though I have had really bad burnouts, I've been able to recover from them to a certain extent because of all of these tools that I use. And because I am very aware of when energy flows and when it doesn't flow. And I don't push it. I've tried pushing it before. And I am now at a time in my life where if I try to push too hard, my entire body shuts down. And my central nervous system goes into extreme reply. I swell up, I get headaches. And I had an experience very recently in the last couple weeks where I tried to push through, and legit, I had a timeline, so there was that. I really needed to push past. But I also recognized at the very beginning that I needed to resist the temptation to push too hard. I really needed to find whatever thread of flow there was in that movement and not push too hard, because if I pushed too hard, I was going to have a complete shutdown. I didn't have a complete shutdown, but I did have it where my body and the signals were telling me, hey, don't push too hard. So I was taking extra Epsom salt baths. I was definitely using the energy that wouldn't flow in that direction, and I was using it to go in another direction. And it probably seemed to an outside observer that I was completely ignoring a deadline, that I wasn't doing any work, and instead I was following the energy in a different direction and still keeping my pulse point on that other project, so that as soon as the flow the resistance lifted, I was able to move forward with it. And I found that there are quite a few applications of doing this, both in work, in relationships, in money, in projects, all kinds of things. So I think one of the big things about flow, when you're looking at how flow works and the things that are coming at you versus the things that you think you want or need, is sitting with the resistance of that flow. And what does the outside world say, right? What is the outside world expectation of what that thing is? And what is the energetic expectation? And where is the resistance in the juxtaposition between those things? And learning to sit with it and do the things that you can do. Self-care is a big thing. Learning how to put your energy in something else over here for a little while, and allowing that flow to unclog wherever that flow may be. Because there's one other thing, and this has to do with the choices of other people. We have blueprints. We have our own special little blueprint that we wrote for our lives here. Yay, awesome, right? But there are things that we have written into our blueprint that are keyed or activated or triggered, pick these amazing words, and they are keyed or triggered or activated by other people's choices in their blueprint. It doesn't mean that what it is that you want to do, or whatever project you're working on, or whatever boss you have, or whatever the thing is, you still have to rely on other people's choices. And that intersectionality between your blueprint and someone else's blueprint may not line up. You might be ready. You might be ready to flow forward. You're going to flow. You're just going to drive forward. But someone else's intersectionality to that may not be at the same rhythm or time that yours is. And that's where that flow will slow down, because the universe, who sees the universe of all, we could call that divine recognition, we could call that whatever you want to call that. But there is an intersectionality that maybe that flow has slowed down so that someone else can catch up, something else can happen so that intersectionality can happen. And sometimes that flow, when it slows down, stops, because it has to stop for some 15 other, 20 other things to happen before that flow can be picked back up again. And I look at it very much like, have you ever looked up how many patents there were for something, I don't know, 1920, right? If you go to the United States Patent Office, you can see where patents for certain things have come in. You could have 50 patents for almost exactly the same thing, because the flow and energy of the universe is flowing, and those time intersections, someone picked it up and someone didn't pick it up, and someone else picked it up and someone didn't pick it up. And sometimes 10 or 15 people pick up the same flow. And you can see where those energies are manifest in some of our patent offices, especially new things. I always find it fascinating. It's a fascinating exercise in where is the stream, where is the flow of creativity and ideas, and how are different people picking up on the exact same thing, because the intersectionality of that flow is a real thing. This is a real world application of what I talk about when I talk about blueprint intersectionality and the flow that we are all connected to. We're all connected to it. And it's so important that we honor that for each other. Okay, so I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I will see you in prayer tomorrow. I hope, should be. I hope that you have a beautiful flowing day, that you can see what's ahead of you and have the place of peace and the ability to resolve any kind of anxiety through a ritual bath. Ritual baths are so important and so blessed when you can have one. If you don't have a bathtub, you can go online and buy a portable bathtub first. And two, you can still do Epsom salt and herbal cleanses in a shower. So those are real things that you can do. If you have any questions, you are welcome to message me on the group channel or leave messages here, and I do respond to them. Have a blessed day, and I will see you in prayer. Okay, where is the off button? They keep moving it.